Okay. How did I do that? Gallery. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I am so excited that you are here because we are all getting our summer bods going. Oh, no, sorry, our summer financial bods going because, I know I don't have my financial bod ready, but I wanted to just thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. And I'm going to give some tips today as far as how you can fix your finances, just like what you wanted to be in the itsy bitsy teeny weeny polka dot bikini. Yeah, it's not going to happen. We all know that, but maybe we can work on our finances in order to dream about that and work closer to that goal. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick presentation for you just to give you some tips. One of the things that I had mentioned in the reservation was if you wanted to have a piece of paper or anything like that in order to take some notes, you are more than welcome to. And like I said, this is going to be recorded for a quick replay for those who were not able to attend. Or if you're like Nancy, I didn't get it. Can you say it again? Just we'll get you that replay, and that's not a problem. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And here we go. So I was so excited when I saw these colors when I'm building it. I was like, that just looks like summer. I don't go to the beach often. I should, but I don't. We might do a vacation this summer. I'm not too sure. My daughter's graduation present is a trip to Germany with her dad. So that's exciting. I've been there myself. So I know I'm so excited. She gets to go to Europe. And, that's one thing that I tell people in general is that when you're young, before you find somebody important in your life and possibly have, children, that might be the best time to go to Europe because by the time that we get older, we might not want to go and so forth, but it's nice just to experience something else. So take that opportunity to do so and put that in your budget so you can definitely take that vacation and explore the world and just see what other things are going on in the world. So let's go ahead and get started with this. All right. Well, I am Nancy Ward. I'm a financial coach. I got started with financial coaching back in 2021. I have always been a person that likes to crunch numbers. Even 20 years ago, you'd catch me at close to midnight, just going in my software and putting my numbers in and so forth like that. But before I got married, I had $40,000 worth of credit card debt, and I was embarrassed that it really I shouldn't have $40,000. And I remember the conversation I had with my mom, and I bought a new car because my other one was 100 and something thousand miles on it, and it was getting old and had been in the shop one too many times, had 4 clutch jobs. Don't even get me started on that. But that it was just she was shocked. She's like, how did you get a car loan with $40,000 worth of debt? I was like, I don't know. I guess I pay my bills on time and all these other good things. I just have extended credit and so forth. So fast forward a little bit later, and I got married, dual income, no kids until we had kids. And I paid off the debt. We paid off the debt together. And then I got a divorce. And I promised myself I would not get in this situation again. First of all, I wasn't going to pay interest. That was my number one goal. And second of all, I'm like, I've got to control this because I don't want to be in debt again. That was a very embarrassing and depressing thing that I had to be involved with. So I wanted to show you really quick before we get started with the presentation here, is that I have this little book that I bought years ago. I mean, I don't even know. Can't remember how old it is. But this is how I used to track, because who doesn't love coloring books, adult coloring books. But I would write down every single payment I would make to that. And then look at how big that was. I paid it off. I was so proud of myself. I put it paid off. But every time I made a payment, I got to color it in a little box. But the trick was I made these payments every single week. So I made those payments $40 every single week because I had to get some car stuff done. It says car loan, but it was car repair. But that's how I got started in thinking, if I paid $40 a week, we all can afford $40 a week in order to send to a bill, I could pay that bill off without having to pay the interest. And again, I want to pay interest. I'll be glad to take your 0%, but I'm not going to pay interest. So I have gone a long way since this, and this was before I was a coach. but I realized that I had a gift that I could help other people with their finances. And I really wanted to help them out, make them understand the numbers. And whether you're a numbers person or not, or just want to keep your head in the sand because you don't want to admit how much you've spent. And don't get me wrong, I've got some categories like that too. But I really wanted to help people. And that's why I started up this. This business in order to help others go through the same thing that I was going through. So in today's presentation, you're in the right place if you're ready to gain control of your finances. You might have had a few spending sprees, or you might have some debt. You know, wherever you are in your financial journey, it's completely okay. You can make a change. Just keep that in mind. You can make a change. It does not always have to be that same. Just like if you wanted to lose weight, you can always lose 5 pounds. You just got to work for it. You want to lose $5,000, you just got to work for it. Going to give you some ideas on how to reduce interest rates, because like I said, that's the hardest part, is that when you're involved with having those credit cards and then the interest, because you didn't pay it off at the end of the month, it just adds up and adds up and adds up and adds up. And I know that we all love how we have to tip people in this society these days. It's just such a fun subject. Just imagine tipping 19.99% every single month on the bills you didn't pay off. That should really sink in to go, oh, yeah, no, don't want to do that. So I'm going to give you some tips today to hopefully help you with that, and also to have some better spending habits. We're not all perfect. We like our coffee. We like our Amazon. We like our Apple games. See, I'm allowed to make fun of myself because we all have those things. But I want you to have a better spending habits, because that's what's going to make those changes. And it might be small, but it's going to be mighty. So I wanted to bring that up. So by the end of this workshop, you should have some tools to use in order to make some changes, have the confidence to do so, and make a decision. Is this the right time for me to take action on my finances, or am I just going to keep on keeping on? And that's going to be your choice. So some ways that you can gain control of your finances. Number one, track your expenses. That's definitely what it is. And here's the thing, is that you can track all of your expenses from your credit card apps. You don't even have, you can write it down, which is good, because let me tell you, this was very therapeutic for me to have to write it down and see. But it was also motivating because every week I recalculated how much less I owed. That was motivation. So having a pen and paper sometimes really does help you out. But there's so many ways that you can do it nowadays. You can go onto your credit cards, or there's different kinds of financial apps, and it will tell you what categories you're spending in. And it might say you spent $1,200 this month on your automobile. You're like, oh my gosh, how did that? Oh, that's right, I forgot about my tires. Otherwise, I'm spending X amount of dollars on just gas and maybe an oil change and maybe my driver's license and renewals and things like that. So if you're tracking your expenses like that, not every single thing that you pull out of your wallet and buy, but if on a roundabout way to do that, you can look at a month basis and go, okay, this is what categories I've been spending. And then you can make some changes as you need to. Setting financial goals are really important, having your short-term or long-term. Make them realistic. I know we have to always talk about SMART goals and things like that, but even just to say, hey, every Tuesday, I'm not going to go out for lunch with the ladies at the office, or I'm going to reduce my fund spending from $100 to $20. Make something that's reasonable and obtainable and repeatable. It's you can do it. Let me tell you, you can do it. Saving for large expenses. That's another thing too, is you're thinking, oh yeah, I have to have an emergency fund. Yes, you can have an emergency fund, but also too, you can also put money away every single week. So another embarrassing story of myself, but I want you to hear these stories, because if you can relate to them, you go, oh wow, it's not that embarrassing. I understand she did it, but wow, she really made it. She realized it and made a choice. So I have my property taxes, and I was at a point where I'm like, I don't have $2,500 to just write a check out of my checking account in order to pay for that. I actually borrowed it from my kids' checking account. I mean, how embarrassing is that? That's really bad. I should not have done that, but I had to pay it because if I didn't pay it on time, I'd have fees. If I paid it with a credit card, the county would charge me like an extra 3 to 6%. And then I had to pay off the credit card at the 19.99. I said, no, I can't do this. So I borrowed the money. I paid it back to my kids' accounts, but I made a change. It was a shocking moment for me that I needed to make a change. So now I put $100 a week into a savings account. Sight unseen. It just moves over. My bank just automatically transfers it over for $100 a week. So at the end of the year, I have $5,200. Easy math. So I'm able to pay for my property tax and not have to worry about, oh my gosh, I have to write a check for $2,500 right now, and I don't have that money in the account because it's not coming out of my checking account. It's coming out of my savings account, my emergency fund type savings account. So there is hope. You can do this. I'm encouraging you to think about these things because it is possible that you can make this work. Monitoring your credit score. That's another thing too. I've got a whole class on how to work with your credit score, how it works, how to, things to look for and so forth like that. But tracking your credit score is important. And the biggest part of the credit score is making sure that you pay your bills on time. That's all I can ask for you right now. If you're like, I'm trying to work on my credit cards, make sure that you pay your bills on time and you're not late because that will reduce your credit score quickly. And then reduce your debt. So yeah, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds. Well, first of all, I have to get on the scale. How much do I weigh? Same thing. You are getting on the scale and saying, how much do I owe? What are my credit cards? I have a mortgage. I have a car payment. I have a home repair loan. I have 3 credit cards, 2 store cards, a Target card. I'm just making stuff up. How do you know how much you actually owe? Probably because you don't want to admit it. And I get it. I've been there. You don't even want to know how much credit card debt you're in. Trust me. But you know what? Rip off that Band-Aid, get on that scale, and just suck it up and do it. This is hard love. I'm passing out, but you got to do it. If you want to make a change, you got to get on the scale. Because if you don't get on the scale, you're not going to lose weight. That's the plain and simple of it. So you're going to also work on making a debt payoff plan in which that's going to help you prioritize where the money goes every time you get money coming in. Quick thing about credit scores. Your credit score is between 300 and 850. And there are 2 companies that do track that. So just giving you a look at this really quick, depending on which one that you have, it does change as far as what the name is for. Is it good? Is it, good on the left side, fair on the right side, exceptional on the left side, excellent on the right side. So again, double check that because I have a Visa, which uses one type of score, and American Express, which uses another type of score. So I actually keep track of 2 types of credit scores, but it's based on this scoring section. So then you know exactly what your credit score are or where you are in your credit score. And that helps you to get you new credit or to get a lower loan while you're working on maybe like a car payment or anything else, or if you're going to apply for a credit, whether you're having your kids go to college or you needed a loan, if you're going to get some home repair done and you want to go directly through Lowe's or Home Depot, they're going to pull your credit score and use that in order to figure out what your best credit is. Cutting your interest rates. So this is an interesting way to do things because, again, as you keep on not paying in full, you're going to accumulate the interest rate. So here's some tips for you. Negotiating with your lenders. It never hurts to ask. Call them up, ask them if you can reduce your credit rate or your APR. The APR, annual percentage rate, has been going up because the federal government has been raising the rates. Yeah, it's not too fun, but you can still see and talk to them. Look at that last one on the bottom. Highlight your payment history and increased credit score and say, hey, is there anything you can do for me? And see what they have to say. I had one time where I called up American Express. Visa wouldn't give me the time of day. They're like, nope, we can't change it. I'm like, okay. Called up American Express. They said, well, we can give you 1% less on your purchases for the next 6 months. Well, that's better than nothing. That's still 1%. So I was able to take that and say, sure, I'll take it and go from there. If you ask for a credit increase, they still might do a soft pull, which in order to get your credit score, but they might actually help you out and give you maybe a few extra $1,000, which will actually help your credit score as long as you don't spend that money. That's the other key too, is that you can get your credit card increased, but as long as you're not spending the extra money on it, then you're okay, and that's going to help your credit score. So if you're looking at that, so okay, so balance transfer, 0% offers to cut down on the interest payments within a certain time period. So you might get the checks. I've gotten these in the mail where it's the balance transfer checks or any kind of different offers that you get in the mail. It is possible, but you got to be smart about it. And by being smart about it, you have to say, okay, how much do I owe? How much time do I have? And seriously divide that by that number and see whether or not you're able to afford that payment every single month. You have just transferred over, let's say $5,000. And you said, hey, I want to, I'm going to take the 0% for $5,000. Small fees will be added. So it's usually in between 3 and 5%. But as long as you pay that off in that 12, 18, 24 months, whatever the case may be, then you're good to go. Take that 5,000, divide it by 24, divide it by 18, what have you. That's how much you have to owe every single month and not pay interest at the end of the time. So it does help you because you've just eliminated $5,000 of credit card debt or may have paid off another card that is accumulating interest. But now you have to be smart about it and say, I'm going to pay it off divided by how much time I have in order to do it, to get the money out there so that I don't have to pay interest at the end. You don't have to pay the compound interest, but you have to pay the interest starting at that expiration date. So, if you have $1,000 left, it might go back to that 29.99. So those are some things to think about. Refinancing or consolidation loans. Right now, again, because of the rates, whether you have a mortgage or any kind of loans, you might be able to refinance, again, depending on the rates that are going on right now. So that is something that you would have to investigate yourself. But consolidating your debts, there's plenty of reputable companies that are out there that could help you with that. Some of them may tell you that you have to close credit cards, but even like credit unions, just in case you didn't know, credit unions do have better rates because they're a credit union versus a traditional bank. So they do have some different ways of working with money and letting people borrow money. So those are some things that you could do. But again, if you've cut down that interest payment, try not to add more of that debt. I know it can be challenging because now you have more credit line available on your credit cards, but it also is a self-care type thing of reducing your spending. Because there's two ways to get rid of credit card debt. Either make more money or you cut your spending. Those are the two ways that you're going to help yourself. So that is something to think about, is that if you can control your spending, once you get some of those cards paid down, that's going to be helpful too. Some additional smart money habits: paying yourself first, automating savings contribution, including retirement. Whether it's retirement, whether it is, like I said, sending over that $100 in order to pay that big semi-annual bill that I have to pay, that pay yourself first. Make sure that goes over to something. I've even encouraged people to take other bills like their car payment or their rent payment, where they can just take a little bit of money every single paycheck or depending on when they get paid and so forth, but putting money away and then just transferring back over or paying it out of that savings account in order to money sight unseen. So again, you don't have to think about it. It's already tucked away and it's not coming out of your main checking account. Avoiding impulse spending. Oh, that's a big one for a lot of us. And again, that's a lot of self-will. Using a list when you're shopping or do pre-ordering online, plan your purchases in advance or put it in the cart. You can leave it in Amazon, you can save for later and so forth. And then sometimes it actually comes back when you're ready to order something you really need. And it says, hey, just to let you know, the price dropped. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, all right. I still need that. And the price dropped another $3 from what I was doing because I wasn't going to pay that much money, then you can make that choice. Tracking your spending, as I mentioned before, using apps or spreadsheets to monitor your habits. Just again, to see, we all talk about fast food going up and groceries are so expensive. But if you look at those numbers, you can see how much you're actually spending every single month. And then you can take an internal look and say, maybe I need to make some changes. Let me look at what I've really been spending. Wow, I didn't realize we were spending that much. We need to make some changes. Automating bill payments. It helps you not to miss any due dates and avoids late fees. Plus, as long as you have it on a cycle, because that is one of the biggest challenges. You might get paid twice a month on the 7th and the 21st, but that rent is due on the 1st and your car payment is due on the 25th, but your paychecks always change. So making sure that you automate those bills will be helpful too. Living below your means, we all know that. Needs versus wants. That's self-explanatory. I don't need to go into that one. But also too, setting your financial goals. They are going to keep you focused and motivated and in control of your finances. And let me tell you how excited I was that, again, on this date, I got to say, hey, I paid this all off. So here's another one. Oops, I'm going the wrong way here. Here's another one where I paid it off. So again, I got to play with my colors. I put those things down, but it was so nice. Just, I even wrote down here 8 more payments because I was so excited to say I'm 2 more left. I mean, it's very exciting because at that point you're like, well, I only have $300 left. Maybe I'll just pay the whole $300 off. You get so excited, you just want to pay it off, but it's like, no, I don't have to pay interest. I'll pay $150 this week, $150 next week, or paycheck or whatever, and that's how you're saving your interest. So having that in your mindset is really, really helpful too, because then you are providing yourself that motivation in order to fix your finances. So some of the next steps that you can take are reviewing your numbers. So as I mentioned, it's just taking a piece of paper, writing it down. All right, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, this is how much I owe, this is what my percentage rate is, and so forth like that. So then you can look at that and go, okay, now I've got the picture on the wall to say, how do I fix this? And that's when you look at it. Do you want to do the snowball method, the avalanche method, or what other method that works for you? But again, you're going to target at least one of them, pay the minimum for everything, but target yourself to say, I'm going to pick one credit card, just one, and I'm going to attack it like there's no tomorrow. So you might also have the fact where, hey, I just got extra, my birthday money. Somebody gave me $100 for birthday money. Where are you going to put that? You should know exactly where you're going to put that. Put it towards a credit card, which one credit card it is, things like that. You sell something on Facebook Marketplace, bring that in and go ahead and, send that money to that one credit card that you're focusing on in order to reduce it down. That's really going to help you out. We also have a financial newsletter. So I think some of you are from my newsletter. So thank you so much. But I send out information about different ways in order to save money and so forth like that. So we got that. So that's something definitely to think about. I have a strategy call, which I'll talk about in the next slide here. And additional courses, I've got freebies and additional courses on my website. So if you're looking for some additional education, that's something completely fine. The financial boot camp, which I'll mention in just a moment, and implementing changes. So those are some things that are your next step. So now that you've got your idea, you know how to work this, you know you need to do some tracking of all your numbers. Now you need to implement the changes, whether it's saving or reducing your debts or getting a consolidation loan or things like that. Those are the important things to do. And of course, I have my Facebook group. You can look it up on Facebook as Weekly Debt Plan. And yes, Marilyn, I did see your message here. It says, who can join the Facebook group? Anybody can. So you just have to answer a few questions and you're good to go. You'll be able to do that in order to get some additional information. So sometimes I'll just put some posts up or I'll put some of my stories up. I like to educate people, but I don't want to inundate with too many emails. So that's why I do some more posting in the Facebook group than I might on that. So yes, Halei, you are so excited. You have a question for me.
If I could mute, yes, I'm super excited. I have actually two questions.
Yes.
One is, so I had a huge amount on my credit card. I transferred it over to the Discover card, right?
Yes.
So what happened? I said I'm not going to put any money on this Discover card. But guess what? Now I maxed that one out too. So yeah, it's so how many times can you transfer? And yeah, and then the credit score, yeah. So how many times can you transfer without affecting any issues? So that's
Well,
my
you can
question.
transfer as much as you want. And I actually, when I was again starting this business and I was looking at some of my old paperwork, I realized that I did a balance transfer. And then I did a promotional rate. So I actually had like two balance transfers on one of my credit cards. I was like, what the heck was I thinking? But again, that was 20 something years ago. I don't know what I was thinking. I just did what I did because I didn't have a financial coach. I didn't have, okay, back in the 2000s, there wasn't really much on the internet, hardly
It
having an
won't
internet.
affect
So,
you? It won't affect your credit score or
well,
anything?
here's what's going to happen is the more that you're doing the balance transfers, it's not going to really affect your credit score per se, except for the fact it just changes your credit utilization, which can work with your credit score. So if
Okay.
you're maxing out more cards, there's a chance that your credit score may go down. But if
Yeah.
you're paying your debts on time, kind of going back to that original story I talked about with my 40,000 in debt and buying a car, I'm paying my debts, I'm paying them on time. They keep on giving me more credit, especially when it came to a car, because it's different than a credit card because it's collateral of being a car versus a credit card, and we don't know what you're going to do with that credit card. So yeah, it can blemish your credit score, but they're still going to allow you to have the credit up to what your available credit is.
So you think it's best because the interest rate is absolutely insane, and having these interest rates on several credit cards, and then um yeah, that can
Yeah.
not be fun paying it. And what happens, the past due right now, they're more flexible and waiving that. I tried before when I wanted to raise the credit
Mm-hmm.
or they
Credit
were
line. Mm-hmm.
friendly, but now they don't do that, but they do waive it a couple of times with the late fee if you have a good excuse.
Right. You just got to ask, and that's the thing is that you give them the sob story if you want, and if they don't answer your question, call back another day
Thank you. This
because you
is
just
so
never know who you
helpful.
get on the call.
I
You're
love this.
welcome.
This is so helpful. I'm looking forward for more because uh, I like the way you break it down. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, I'm just going to finish up with my next slide and then I'll answer the questions that have been coming through the chat. So, wanted to tell you a little bit about my financial empowerment boot camp. And it is basically everything we covered today, but on more of a one-on-one basis. So, as you see here, you're going to get these different forms and so forth to help you put the information in, whether it's a paper form or electronic form. I have both, depending on how the person wants to use it. But again, just writing it down and having it in front of you. So you're going to learn how to understand your numbers. You're going to develop a customized debt payoff plan with me. We're going to strategize to reduce some expenses, look at your categories, spending, and so forth. And we're going to keep track of changes because, again, let me tell you how it was so nice to keep track of changes. Every Friday, I got to go in here and I got to color something. So it really kept it on top of mind for me to go ahead and keep knowing where my credit was changing. Originally, I had everything on Post-it notes, and once a month, I would put down what my balances were on the back of my office door, just so I could look at it and be aware of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I got to get braces, and that's going to cost me $2,000. But I'm going to put it on care credit. But as long as I pay it off in 12 months, it's 0%, same as cash. So again, yeah, I had to really keep a track of my numbers. Included with this boot camp is accountability and support. You get 2 personalized phone calls with me to go over everything and go in depth with, again, developing that plan. There's email and texting support and the motivation and the celebrations to make your changes and see your financial success. So if you need an intense 4-week type program with just me one-on-one, this is something that you like to do. And if you're thinking, that's all great, Nancy, but I don't even know where I'm at or where I'm going, I have a 30-minute complimentary strategy call. I encourage you to do your little QR code with your phone and take advantage of that. And Haley, would you mind just throwing those links in the chat when you get a second here? So in case you don't have a QR, I mean, if you don't want to do QR codes, I'm totally fine with it, but at least you have a link there. But with the complimentary call, I just, want to get to know you, see where you're at with things. It's all confidential, but it gives you the opportunity to just say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. I'd like to go. I don't know if this is something that's available for me, or if you're not ready to take on the boot camp and you need some additional resources, I'm definitely there for you. I've got plenty in my Facebook group and I've got some online. So this just gives you the option of the 2 things in order to get some more support. So again, feel free to join my Facebook group, and that is helpful as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share and go into our questions here. So let me see what we got here. I heard you get better decisions in the evening hours. Yeah, sometimes, you've been thinking about things all day and you might, have that going for you that, you make some changes. Okay, Amazon and Amex took away part of credits to make my score go down. Yeah, and sometimes that's the other thing too. Marilyn might have brought up a good point here. I don't know if it was based on if you had to close the cards. Unfortunately, when you do close the cards, your credit score might change. But that's, again, if you can try to resist and not use the card, but tuck it away, put it in a filing cabinet, whatever, that's something to take into consideration too, because again, you've got that availability of the credit, but your credit score won't go down. Because once you start closing accounts, it will give you less available credit, which could reduce your credit card.
I didn't close any accounts.
Oh,
It
okay.
happened.
Oh, good.
It happened to the My Pillow guy too. Amex took away part of his credit line. They see that you're going to hit that you're going to max out your cards, and then they take away part of your available credit line and makes your credit score go down, and it makes it harder to pay for anything on Amazon because Amazon did that too.
Wow. I'm surprised that they did that. Wow. Okay.
Why are
Yeah,
you
so
surprised?
because that just doesn't seem right that they would reduce your credit line unless they had a good reason to. Because I'm sure your income didn't change just because you put just because you have stuff on your credit card. I've just really never heard of that where people, like the companies, are actually reducing your credit line without a good reason.
Because they think you're going to max out your credit line and declare bankruptcy. So even though I'm responsible and I'm not going to declare bankruptcy and I'm judgment proof and don't need the protection of bankruptcy, they took away part of my credit line. So now, like, I can't even pay the $6.99 monthly fee on Amazon that I get a reduced fee because I'm on food stamps because I'm disabled.
Yeah.
They put my whole account on hold because they couldn't charge the $6.99 this month because they took away $800 of my credit line several months ago.
Wow. Yeah, I would definitely give them a call and,
Good with that, dude. They don't care.
well, you never know what representative you talk to might have some empathy for you. Wow.
Say don't give up because I'll share my experience because that might help. I had once I called, believe it or not, I didn't give up 10 times till I got what I wanted, and I did. Because yes, some of them can be pain, but then it's like I needed to completely shift and say, they're going to answer. And it did. It's just like, it does work. keep it positive and know that they're gonna give you the answer you want. Because there are good ones out there too. So
Once they
you know,
take away part of your credit line, they're not going to give it back because I've applied for more credit. And then it gets turned down because my credit score went down because I was using more of my available credit. But I should call and like, they're going to say this is what the Fed set the rate at, but I should at least call and ask them to reduce my interest rate and let them say no.
Right, because there's a difference between the interest rate and the available credit. That's the thing, is that just because they decided to reduce your credit limit, or yeah, your credit line, which again, if they, unless they have some good reason, but how many other people in this country have full
They don't have any
max
good
credit
reason.
cards?
They don't have any good reason. And
Yeah,
um,
profit.
I'm paying almost 1/3 of my month. I'm on disability on a poverty level income. And right now, I don't know if you saw my comment that my interest and plan fees is around $300 a month, which is completely out of control.
Yeah.
And plan fees are less than interest. But I should at least call Capital One and let them say no. I've called one of the companies before, but I should call them all because MX kept offering me financial relief and I kept thinking, I don't want that, until the day I looked at it and said, yeah, I do want that because they reduced my interest rate, took away my annual fee for a year,
Yeah.
and paused all the plans, which means I don't get charged the plan fees. And plan fees are less than the regular interest rate. But
Right.
completely frustrating when I had $800 extra. I could have ordered a pair of shoes to see if that helps why I'm dizzy when I stand, even with new arch supports. But I can't because I don't have the credit line. But someone's from the synagogue's going to pay for that for me. So that will help.
Yeah, I wonder if just like you said, calling up and talking to the financial department. I apologize, you said something about that. The financial department to say, hey, listen, I'm on disability.
They don't care, but I should at
They
least
don't
call.
care.
No, they don't care, but I should at least call every company and say, I would like my interest rate lowered, and at least let them say no and let you know what
Right.
they say.
Right. Wow. Because I know that there's like credit consolidation companies. I would think that there'd be somebody else that would be an advocate for people in your situation that, you know,
They don't
are
care. They're predators. They don't care.
well, true, true. Right. Well, does anybody else have any other questions? No. Oh, and to answer another question, the credit scores that are two companies, but the credit report is three companies. So I think we've always thought about the three credit bureaus, and then I said, hey, there's only two credit scores. It's different because it's a credit report, which gets reported, and then the credit score, which is basically like a soft pull of your credit to. It's like your report card. Did you get a 4.0 or a 3.8? How credible are you, and so forth. So, but well, great. I
Yeah,
appreciate
can I
everything.
just say one thing? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, it's
That
fine.
I have a black belt in finances, but those two charts about the two that determine the scores, that's something I didn't know and took a
Oh,
screenshot of. But the person that said keep trying and don't take no for an answer, there's nothing you can do. Like I will call and ask them to reduce my credit, like my interest rate. But when they say no, there's nothing I can do unless I want to be judgment proof and stop paying on my cards and lose all my credit line, which I had to do in the 90s. And I'm not doing that again.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But I also
yeah.
believe in the power of something will open up for you. It will keep calling because there was a time that um, the reason I say this, as Nancy knows, because I'm in with the credit stuff, because I've got a lot of credit, I'll say investments, so I feel better. Investments that I've done recently. So I had to get on a call with them and I would get to a point of frustration and then the more of it I would create. But I truly, you have to believe it and it'll happen. When you really know there's gonna, a way will open up for you, it will. And That's all I gotta say, because it does, and I know the frustration of that, because I'm in it right now, so I truly understand. And thanks with Nancy's support, it's gotten a huge difference, but thank you.
Where can you get these debt consolidation loans?
Different places. I know that I've heard of one that's called Trinity. My friend has used that. I don't know if it's local just to the Ohio region. And sometimes your credit unions will help you out as well because they have a better rate or a better system than your traditional banks. Those would be two places I would look. Some, ask around your area and see whether or not there's some consolidation companies that people would trust.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody coming by today. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and contact me. I am on Facebook, Nancy Ward. You can look me up with the weekly debt plan. You can contact me there at that group as well. And if you have any further questions, let me know. And, you've got my contact information in the email from signing up for this class today. So if you have any other questions or concerns, like I said, if you want to just hop on a 30-minute free call, just to talk about things, that's not a problem at all. And well, I'll be glad to help you. So everybody have a great afternoon, evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.